Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today I want to be giving my predictions for the Mighty Nein reunion that is coming up very soon. It is coming up in less than a month, or I think it's just over a month, I'm not too sure. I'm very excited for this. I miss the Mighty Nein desperately, and I just want to talk about them a little bit here today and give a few predictions on what I think we could see in this one shot. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so let's get into it. Before we truly get started, I just want to say mild spoiler warning for campaigns 2 and 3. If you haven't caught up with either of them, I would recommend not watching this video. I may spoil some things. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't recorded the rest of this video, but just putting the spoiler warning out there now. So, again, spoilers for campaigns 2 and 3. And fuck it, I might even just say spoilers for campaign 1. Highly doubt I'll spoil campaign 1 for anybody, but, you know, spoilers. Before getting into the actual predictions, I just want to make one last thing clear, and that is when this one-shot is taking place, and that is after the attack of the dig site and during the apogee solstice. That is all we know about this so far, so with that out of the way, I can finally get into my predictions. So first things first is Bo and Caleb. Are they alive? Yes, they're for sure alive. They just got shunted away when the whole apogee solstice shit kicked off, and much like the Bell's Hells, they were teleported somewhere else. The question realistically isn't if they're alive, it's where the fuck they ended up and how the other members of the Mighty Nein are going to be able to like pick them up, especially if Caleb is stuck with these magic reducing cuffs. But, you know, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to end up at a nexus point, because that seems to be what happens. They get teleported to other nexus points or near nexus points. So they're likely at a nexus point somewhere, which is impossible for us to predict without like a true map of where the nexus points are, and I don't think we've been given that yet, so we can't really tell where. If I were to get a random ass prediction to throw them anywhere, they're likely not in Marquette anymore. They're probably not on Isilra, so I'm going to put them in Wildmount. I think that might just be the best place to put them. That way it's like not terribly far for them to travel back to the other members of the Mighty Nein, and they can end up realistically anywhere. I don't want to put them in like a city, because that would just be way too easy if they just suddenly just appear in Zadash. I mean, oh, that's easy. Or Rexentrum, same thing. So they could end up anywhere, realistically. The Kryn Dynasty, the Menagerie Coast, and just, you know, any city within the Dwendalian Empire. They could end up there. Realistically, any of them works. As long as they don't have a Cobalt Soul to walk into and just teleport wherever they want, and there has to be some sort of thing that happens so they all get back together, I'm fine with wherever they end up. One more thing I want to mention about Bo and Caleb before moving on is that both Marisha and Liam have stated in the past that if they had to pick between their campaign 1 players dying and their campaign 2 players dying at the apogee solstice, they verbally stated on Four-Sided Dive they would much rather have their campaign 1 characters die. Their stories are pretty well done, and they truly believe that the campaign 2 characters, Bo and Caleb, have a lot more room to go forward. They still have things to fulfill, missions and duties, and they have more stories to tell realistically with this cast than they do with campaign 1 characters. So they've verbally said it in the past on Four-Sided Dive that they would rather their characters from campaign 2 survive, and Matt isn't going to just be like, well, too fucking bad, they're dead anyway. So realistically, we know they're alive, and with other things like Ratanish, the body of Ratanish in the last episode saying, hey, this is, you know, we don't know where they are, basically. It basically confirms they're alive and not imprisoned by the Ruby Vanguard.
What if one of your characters is dead?
Be okay with it. I trust Matt.
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with it too.
Who would you be okay with letting go of?
I would be more okay letting Keyleth go, which is
she's
wild
lived a
to
full
say.
life.
Yeah, than Bo, because I think Bo still like
She's still got
book
shit to
feels
do.
closed.
Bo still has shit to do. Like Keyleth, I don't know. Keyleth could finally. Keyleth's worst fear was always that she was going to be, you know, the last leaf on the tree.
The irony that she would be one of the first to go is like
Would be
pretty heavy.
Yes, it would.
I don't know why this is, but I feel like with the end of the Vox Machina story, I felt like that was the end of an actual novel, a story. That was a story's close. With Mighty Nein, I felt like this is a major chapter in the lives of all these people, but I didn't think of it as the final.
Yeah.
And I always imagined their future about like spreading out, and I can imagine them coming back together for different reasons over the years.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If something happens to Bo, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I'm gonna lose my shit if something happens with Bo.
Yeah. We can't.
Or
mess that
Kayla.
up.
Like, it's interesting. Yeah, Vox Machina feels a little more closed.
So now the next question is Kingsley or Caduceus. Now, based on what I believe this one-shot to be about, it would make way more sense for Caduceus to be the one that's with the group. Kingsley is off doing his own thing in Darktow now, and realistically, I feel like he would be one of the perfect characters to sort of show up and expand on in Campaign 3, especially with the Bell Cells being in the Shattered Teeth. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Darktow. They could just go to Darktow whenever they want. But Caduceus is a character who is entrenched with gods. He follows the Wild Mother. He sort of lives by the Wild Mother's sort of, guidance. So Caduceus being the character to sort of jump back in and being the one to help the Mighty Nine would be huge. That being said, Kingsley did help them fight Uk'otoa, but I do think it makes more sense based on what they're potentially going to be doing to sort of help a god would be to have Caduceus around. I just feel like he makes more sense to be in the sort of whole situation here. It makes way more sense for him to be connected to it, and he is, I would say, probably closer to the Mighty Nine than Kingsley is after Kingsley sort of stole a ship from Ford and fucked off to Darktow. I don't believe they're not necessarily enemies or anything, but they're not like super close, and I would imagine Ford and Caduceus would be way more concerned about helping the gods than Kingsley would. So I would imagine Caduceus is likely going to be the one that's in this campaign. Especially after Caduceus wasn't in the last one and Kingsley was, I would imagine a switch to happen. And now I sort of want to predict what this whole one-shot is going to be even about, and that is realistically doing something for the gods, as the gods are all terrified right now of the potential release of Predathos, and they're all sort of closing off to their magic, and I think that could do many things. One, that might affect the Blooming Grove and how well it's holding back the sort of illness from Meleismere, so Caduceus might have to step up into action then. But I also do think that the Stormlord, the Wild Mother, and potentially Artagan could all feel they need some sort of protection created, and that is something the Mighty Nine could do themselves. And I think that would be an interesting sort of way to go about things. The gods ask them for protection, and I wonder if this will answer like what exactly the gods are sort of so fearful of. Do they think that Predathos is like halfway out? Maybe they'll answer that question. If Predathos is truly halfway out and is able to affect or siphon some of the energy from these gods, who knows? That's something we're going to have to hope for as an answer. But I do think the idea of the Mighty Nine being contacted by their respective gods / Archfey in Artagan's case would be interesting. And I wonder if godlike creatures like an Archfey, who aren't quite god level but have some sort of, a magical ability like that, I wonder if they're also affected by what's happening with Predathos, and if maybe that would be more of like what the story's about. Going after Artagan because he's getting affected by something, and Jester really doesn't want her best friend to die, so Jester wants to help Artagan, find some way to protect him, find some way to protect the other gods in the meantime as well, specifically their gods. I don't imagine they'd go too far out of their way to protect gods that they don't necessarily follow, like the Dawnfather, but like, the Stormlord, the Wild Mother, and Artagan, I guarantee you this is going to be some sort of protection angle of going to potentially other realms and grabbing protection for them. And I think the idea of realm hopping with the Mighty Nine would be a good way to sort of remove them from the playing field. So, yeah, I think the idea of realm hopping, finding some sort of protection for the gods, is likely what the story is going to be about. Of course, I could be wrong, and I most likely am, but if I were a DM, that's sort of the direction that I would go for this game. If I were the DM for this game, I would go, they're going to look for protection for their gods, maybe even just look for protection for Artagan. They're going to hop between a handful of realms. That way they are completely removed from the board for Campaign 3, and I don't have to worry about interlocking them in any sort of way. So yeah, that's the prediction for what I think the game is going to be about. At the beginning, I talked about the locations of Bo and Caleb, and now I kind of want to talk about where I think the others might start, because I think it'll just be fun to, sort of predict where they are. I might as well go all out on these prediction videos, so here we go. First and foremost, I think Kingsley's in Darktow, and I think Caduceus is in the Blooming Grove. I'm a fucking cheater, and I'm going to take my wins where I can, people. Secondly, I question where Yasha is, because I highly doubt Bo didn't tell her. I highly doubt Bo didn't tell the entire group that these two were going in to potentially take out Ludinus. This person they've been chasing for 5 years. They've been going after him legally with the Dendwalian Empire and all that for, they've been going after him on paper, on the books, and now they kind of have to go off and do it in person, off books, off the record. So I highly doubt she didn't tell Yasha. And then I highly doubt Caleb didn't tell Not or Veth, and I highly doubt Veth didn't tell Jester, and I highly doubt Jester didn't tell Ford. So my question is, or not my question, my prediction is, I think Yasha is probably in Nicodranus with Veth, with Jester, and with Ford. I think the four of them are sort of eagerly awaiting a potential call to action from the others, or even just a potential, hey, come pick us up in the ship, I'm out of magic sort of thing, or we're really fucked up, or one of us is dead, please come help us. So I highly doubt that they're just sitting there doing nothing. I get the feeling that they're either ready to get the pickup done, or they're all together sort of waiting to eagerly hear if they finally completed their mission that they've been after for years. And like I said earlier, Caduceus and Kingsley are where they are respectively. I think for the most part, Mighty Nein sound like the group who sort of stick together the most, because I think four out of the 7 sort of live in Nicodranus, go in between anyway. Like Yasha and Bo live in Jadash. Caleb's kind of floats around between like Rexentrum and Nicodranus, I would imagine, because he's going to be helping with the Veth's little camp. So the fact that he probably floats between the two places, that's why I say 4, because Jester, Ford, and Veth are all in Nicodranus, and Caleb probably floats between Rexentrum and Nicodranus. So I have no doubt in my mind that they're all sort of together in this moment, waiting for an eager response from Caleb or Bo, depending on if it's good or bad. So yeah, those are my predictions for where I think they are currently right now. Nicodranus. And the last prediction I want to give is, who do I think is going to die in this one shot? The real answer is no one, but if I were to give like a thematical sort of answer, I could see either Caduceus or Ford dying, protecting a god or protecting someone else's god, because they understand the importance of someone having a god and having that guidance and moving forward with their lives. So I do think that those two, as a thematical thing, would be the ones to make a sacrifice to sort of protect another person's god, especially if we are going to lean into the fact that this is going to be about protecting gods. I can see those two easily making some sort of sacrifice. Same with Caleb. I could see Caleb doing the same thing, but to a lesser extent than Ford and Caduceus. So my predictions is, if someone's going to die and make some sort of sacrifice play, it'll be Ford or Caduceus. That's bleak, but that's just how it is. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for the Mighty Nein Reunion one-shot. I'm super excited for this. Thank God it's finally a goddamn live show. I've wanted the Critical Role cast to sort of get their live show feet back under them, because I want them to come to Toronto so bad. They need to come back to Canada. I haven't seen a live show, and I've missed a few chances because I was catching up. It sucks. It sucks watching a live show, and they're like, oh, we're in Canada, we're in Toronto. And I'm like, fuck's sake, I missed it by a year. But no, I'm excited for them to get back into the live show thing. I always loved the environment, listening to it on the streams, so I'm very excited. I'm very excited to listen to it now, and I just can't wait for the sing-along portion of the intro. That'll be fun as well. So yeah, and it'll be the Mighty Nein intro, which is my favorite intro. So now we're getting into some real shit. Now I'm excited. Now I'm even more excited. Anyway, these are my predictions for the Mighty Nein Reunion one-shot. Let me know what you guys think down below. Give me your predictions in the comment section down below. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys on Friday for the recap of episode 73. Peace.